Hi guys, so today we're going to be learning about slope, okay? If you look at your book, it has an explanation of slope as well as the formula for it, okay? So make sure you know that formula and have it memorized, okay? So the first example here, we're finding slope and then using the slope to graph, okay? So here, it says find the slope of the line that passes through negative 1, 4, 1, negative 2, and then we're going to graph the line afterwards, okay? So the slope formula, if you look, slope is represented by the letter M. Okay? It's rise over run. Okay? And so what we do is rise, in our coordinates, y is in charge of rise, right? Y is the up and down. So it's y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Okay? You need to stay consistent. Okay? So here, you're going to pick one of the points to be x1, y1, the other one to be x2, y2. So I'm just going to choose this one to be x1, y1, this one to be x2, y2, and then I'm going to plug it in. Okay, so starting with, so y2 is negative 2, so I'm going to plug in negative 2, okay, minus y1, so y1 is 4, so minus 4, okay, over x2 is 1, so 1 minus x1, negative 1, minus negative 1. Okay, so you need to remember to stay consistent. If this is x1, this has to be y1. If this is x2, this has to be y2. You can't just mix and match or else you'll get the wrong slope. Okay, then negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6, and 1 minus negative 1 is 2, right? Minus and negative is plus, so 1 plus 1 is 2. And negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Okay? And so the slope is negative 3. Okay? So then we're going to plot our point, negative 1, 4. Negative 1, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 is here. And our slope here, since it's negative 3, it should be down 3, right 1. Right? Another way to say this is this. Okay? It's easier if you just put the sign with a top 1, because then negative 3, this should be down 3, and the 1 is positive, and towards positive is right. Okay? So down 3, 1, 2, 3, right 1. If you kept going 1, 2, 3, right 1, you would get to your 1, negative 2 that you had earlier. Oops, sorry. And then here we go. We're just going to connect. And there's our graph. Okay. You might be wondering, Miss Ng, what if I switched it, right? What if instead of doing this x1, y1, I made this one x2, y2, and this one x1, y1, okay? So let me show you that you would still get the same thing, okay? You just need to be consistent. If this is x2, this has to be y2. This one's x1, this is y1. Other than that, you should get the same answer, okay? So let's pretend that we switched it. Okay, so then my y2 this time is 4. So 4 minus y1 now will be negative 2 over x2, which is negative 1, minus x1, which is 1. Okay? So let's keep going. 4 minus negative 2, minus negative is plus, so 4 plus 2 is 6. Negative 1 minus 1 is negative 2. And 6 divided by a negative 2 is negative 3. And as you can see, you still get the same thing. Okay, so you just need to stay consistent. Okay, so why don't you try CYP1 and then come check your answer once you're done. Okay, your slope should be 4. If you got that right, you can move on to the next part where I explain types of slope. If not, here's the explanation. Okay, you pick one to be x1, y1, the other one to be x2, y2. Okay, so this is how I chose it. Then you plug it into the formula. Slope is y2, in this case 5, minus y1, negative 3, over x2, which in this case is 3, minus x1, which is 1. Okay? 5 minus negative 3, minus a negative is plus, so 5 plus 3 is 8, 3 minus 1 is 2, 8 divided by 2 is 4. Okay, so my slope is 4, or 4 over 1, since they're both positive, so up 4, right 1. Okay? Positive, right up, positive, run, right. There you go. Okay, so types of slope, okay? So there's several types of slope: positive, negative, zero, undefined, okay? One way you can check your slope as well as your graph is that if you have a positive slope, your line should be going this way. If you have a negative slope, your line should be going down towards your right. If you have a zero slope, your line should be horizontal. And if you have an undefined slope, it should be going this way. Okay? This is why if you have a positive slope from one point to the other, you are going up and to the right. Up is positive and right is positive. Okay? Positive over positive is positive. Or even if you're like, oh, what if I went the other way and thought of it this way? That's fine. From this point to this point, then you're going down and left. Down is negative, and left is negative, but negative over a negative or negative divided by a negative is still a positive. So there's positive slope, right? Negative slope, right? To go from one point to the other, right? Note I'm going down and to the right. Down and then to the right. Down is negative. Right, however, is towards positive numbers. And negative divided by a positive is a negative. Okay? And then I don't think I have to show you the alternative. Okay, it would also be negative. Okay? A zero slope, what we notice is zero slope is that we're not going up and down at all, right? We're not moving up and down at all. However, we are moving to the right or to the left. Okay? So we're either moving to the right, to the left, we're moving something. However, 0 divided by however much we're moving to the right or left, 0 divided by a number is still 0. And so that's why a zero slope is horizontal. Okay? For our undefined, sorry, it should be more vertical, what we notice is that we're moving up and down some number, right? However, we are not moving right or left. And when we do a number divided by 0, that is undefined, and that is why vertical lines have an undefined slope. Okay? So it's just important. Knowing your types of slope can help you check your graph and stuff like that. Okay? So let's move on to example 2. Okay? We're going to refer to the graph at the right, and we're going to find the rate of change of the number of people attending Seattle Sonics from 1993 to 1996, okay? I don't like this one because it puts in numbers, but there's no way you can actually know that exact number from this graph, okay? So like, for example, 1993 is here, right? Is this point here? But according to the book, it is 1993, comma, and with that is apparently 601. How you can possibly know that that's 601 versus 600 in the book, I have no idea. Okay, so if you have problems like this where the graph is unclear and your answer is a little bit off, that's fine. That's the book's fault for being unclear, okay? However, obviously for the book, they can obviously come up with the right answer because it's their data. But anyways, okay. And then we want to know 1996. So that's right here on the graph. And then again, how am I supposed to know what the number exactly is? But according to the book, it'll be 1996, 700. Okay? It's okay. For the CYP, it actually gives you the numbers, so you don't have to guess what it is. Okay? So we want to find the slope or the rate of change. Rate of change is just a fancy way of saying the slope. Okay? So then you're just going to assign one to x1, y1, the other one to be x2, y2, okay, and then plug it in. Okay, so y2 is 700 minus x1, which is 601. Okay, again, how were you supposed to know it was exactly 601 versus 602 or 600 from the graph? I have no idea. Okay, but the book knows because it's their data. Okay. So in case, again, if it's unclear, your answer is a little bit off, that's fine. Okay, that's the book's fault. Okay, and then x2 minus x1, 1996. minus 1993. Okay. 700 minus 601 is 99. 1996 minus 1993 is 3. And then 99 divided by 3 is 33. Okay, so what is the rate of change? This is people, and this is talking about year. So the rate of change is 33 people per year. Okay, and so what it means is that from 1993 to 1996, the attendance changed about 33 people per year, or increased by 33 people per year. There you go. Okay. So why don't you do CYP2 and then come check your answer. Okay, this is what you should have gotten. From 1999 to 2004, the number of applicants increased by 2,252.4 students per year. Or if you saw that, well, you can't have 0.4 of a student, you can also just change it to 2,252 students per year. Okay, if you got it, feel free to move on to the next example. If not, here's your explanation. Okay, so here we know that in 1999, we had 45,616 students applied for admission to UCLA. In 2004, we know that 56,878 students applied. We want to know the rate of change from 1999 to 2004. Okay, so here I chose the 2004 numbers to be x and y sub 2. The 1999 I chose for the x sub 1, y sub 1. Okay, so this would be the y. This is the dependent variable, right? The year. The number of applicants depends on that year, so 5, 6, 8, 7, 8, and so then the year goes with that. And then here 4, 5, 6, 1, 6, and then 1999. Okay, so 5, 6, 8, 7, 8 minus 4, 5, 6, 1, 6 is 1, 1, 2, 6, 2. 2004 minus 1999 is 5. And then when you divide it, you get 2252.4. Okay, here you go. Okay. So next is example 3. Okay. We want to graph lines that are parallel. Okay. So if you look, it should talk about what we know about parallel lines in your book on page 73. So make sure you look at that, especially as you're filling out your vocab. Okay. So one thing we know is that parallel lines have the same slope. Okay, so parallel lines should have the same slope. Okay, so here we want to graph a line. It's going to go through -1, 3, and we want it parallel to the line with the equation x plus 4y equals -4. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to change it into slope-intercept form. Right, we're going to change it into y equals mx plus b, because in doing so, we can find what m is, which is the slope. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to end up changing into slope-intercept form by solving for y. Okay, so I want y by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the x that's being added to it. Since it's going to be parallel to this line, it's going to have the same slope as this line. Okay, so this leaves me with 4y equals -x minus 4. Again, you can't combine these. These are not like terms. Okay. Like terms should have the same variable. The -4 does not have an x. Okay? Then continuing to solve for y to get it by itself. Since this is times 4, I'm going to divide by 4. Okay? 4 divided by 4 is 1, so 1y equals, this is -1x, so this will be -1 over 4x. And then -4 divided by 4 is -1. Okay? So here, what I can see is that my slope is -1/4. Okay? And so if it's going to be parallel to this, it should have the same slope. Okay? So it's going to go through -1, 3. So I'm going to start by graphing -1, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay? And then using this as the slope, okay, the negative only goes with one of the numbers, either the top or the bottom, okay, because if it went with both, it would end up being positive. So I'm going to put it with the top, okay. So this is rise over run. So if it's negative rise, so that means it'll be down 1, right 4, okay. Down 1, right 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay. And then you can keep going with your down 1, right 4 to connect, right? But technically, you only need 2 points to break the line, right? So there you go. And if you look at the book, you can see that it ends up being parallel with that other line, your x plus 4y equals negative 4. Okay? Good. So why don't you try CYP3 on your own and then come and check your answer. Okay, you should have discovered that the slope is 1/3. So you're going to plot your point at negative 2, 4, and then you're going to go up 1, right 3. Okay. Okay, you can move on to example 4 if you got it. If not, here's the explanation. Okay, so if this line is going to be parallel to this line, they should have the same slope. Okay. Here, since it's not written in slope-intercept form, I don't know what the slope is, so I'm going to change it into slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, by solving for y. Okay. Get rid of the positive x here by subtracting x. Okay. So no, it's negative x plus 3. The 3 is a plus because it's positive here. Then get rid of the times negative 3 by dividing by negative 3. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1. Negative 1x divided by negative 3, that turns into positive 1/3. 3 divided by negative 3 is negative 1, so slope here is 1/3. That's why it's up 1, right 3. Okay. Example 4 is perpendicular lines. Okay. And so what we know about perpendicular lines is they have opposite reciprocal or negative reciprocal slope. Okay. So that means their slope is a reciprocal, but also the opposite sign. Okay. So here, if we're graphing the line through negative 3, 1, but we want it to be perpendicular to this line, what we need to do again is find the slope and then find the negative reciprocal slope. Okay. So again, I'm going to change it into y equals mx plus b by solving for y. So here, since this is a positive 2x, I'm going to move it to the other side by subtracting 2x. Okay. This gives me 5y equals negative 2x plus 10. The reason why I'm writing the x part first is because then it's easy, mx plus b, right? Again, it's plus 10 because the 10 is positive versus the negative goes with the 2x. Okay. Then, I'm going to get rid of the times 5 by dividing by 5 on both sides. 5 divided by 5 is 1, so 1y. Negative 2 over 5 is negative 2/5, so negative 2/5 x. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Okay. So here is the slope, is negative 2/5. And so as a result, the perpendicular line will have a negative reciprocal slope. Okay, so reciprocal means to flip. So instead of 2 over 5, it's going to be 5 over 2. And then the negative part just means opposite sign. So since this one is negative, this one is going to be positive. Okay. So then I'm going to graph the point. So negative 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, negative 3, 1 is here. Okay. The perpendicular slope, so if this one is negative 2/5, the slope for this line has to be 5/2. So that means up 5, right 2. So I'm going to go up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right 2. And then I'm going to connect it. Okay. And there you go. Right. And then if we look at the book, you can see that they are perpendicular. Okay. Perpendicular doesn't just mean they touch. It means that where they touch creates a 90-degree angle. Okay. So here we can see it's perpendicular 90-degree angle. Okay. So why don't you do the last CYP 4, and then come check your answer. Okay, so here's your line going through negative 6, 2. It should have a slope of negative 2/3. If you got it, you can get started on homework. If not, here's your explanation. Okay, so if we want it perpendicular to this line, we first need to find the slope. Okay, so we're going to change it into slope-intercept form by solving for y. Since this is a positive 3x, I'm going to move it to both sides, to the other side by subtracting 3x. Okay, so that becomes negative 3x plus 6. Again, plus 6 since this is a positive 6. Okay. Get rid of the times negative 2 by dividing by negative 2. So that leaves me with y equals negative 3 divided by negative 2 turns it positive to 3/2. And 6 divided by negative 2 is negative 3. Okay, so the slope of this line is 3/2. If I want it to be perpendicular to this, I need it to be negative reciprocal or opposite reciprocal. So what I'm going to do is flip it. So instead of 3/2, it becomes 2/3. And since this one is positive, then this one is going to be negative. Okay? Then plot my point at negative 6, 2. Since my slope is negative 2/3, I should be going down to right 3. Okay, again, the negative only goes with either the top or the bottom. If it was both, it would be positive. Okay, so then there you go. That's it for today. Have a great rest of the day. Bye, guys.